I'd like to call the January 9th, 2020 organizational meeting to order. Would you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we will administer the oath of office to our newly elected board members, Mr. Andrews and Mrs. Jeter Freeman.
Congratulations.
Mr. Andrews. We'll start with you.
Okay.
We can't do it at the same time.
So do I.
Huh?
I'm going over.
You want to do it the same?
Would you like
I
to?
do it separately.
Because you have to put your name in there.
No, you just say your name and then you at the end.
Repeat after me. I, Michael Andrews,
I, Michael Andrews,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of Ohio,
of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially discharge my duties
discharge my duties
as a member of the Board of Education
as a member of the Board of Education
in and for
and for
the said Trotwood-Madison City School District,
the said Trotwood-Madison City School District,
Montgomery County, Ohio,
Montgomery County, Ohio,
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
and in accordance
and in accordance
with laws
with laws
now in effect
now in effect
and hereafter
and hereafter
to be enacted
during my continuance
in said office
in said office
and until my successor
and until my successor
is chosen and qualified.
is chosen and qualified.
Sworn to and subscribed before me this 9th day of January 2020, Janice D. Allen, Treasurer, CFO, Trotwood-Madison City Schools Board of Education.
Congratulations.
Repeat after me. I, Vanessa Jeter Freeman,
I, Vanessa Jeter Freeman,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of
the Constitution of
the United States
the United States
and the Constitution of
and the Constitution
the
of
State of Ohio,
the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge my duties
discharge my duties
as a member of the Board of Education
as a member of the Board of Education
in and for
in and for
the said Trotwood-Madison City School District,
the said Trotwood-Madison City School District,
Montgomery County, Ohio,
Montgomery County, Ohio,
to the best of my
to
ability
the best of my abilities
and in accordance with
and in accordance with
laws now in effect
laws now in effect
and hereafter to
and hereafter to
be enacted during
be enacted during
my continuance in said office
my continuance in said office
and until my successor
and into my successor
is chosen and qualified.
is chosen and qualified.
Sworn to and subscribed before me this 9th day of January 2020, Janice D. Allen, Treasurer, CFO, Trotwood-Madison City School District.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right, perfect. Now I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll move.
I'm sorry. I need to conduct roll call. So Ms. Allen, you call the roll.
Yes, Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mrs. Bozeman,
Yes.
Mr. Scarce,
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman,
Yes,
and Ms. Moore.
Yes. Now I can ask for a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any questions, any changes, anything needs to be added to the agenda for this evening? Being none, Ms. Allen, will you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Scarce,
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman,
Yes,
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mrs. Bozeman,
Yes.
and Ms. Moore.
Yes. Now we are going to move on to our election of officers. We'll first entertain any nominations for the office of president.
I nominate Denise Moore to continue as board president.
Is there a second? Do we need a second for that? Is there a
you
second?
don't need, you don't.
Mm-mm.
Denise Moore for president.
We need a second.
We do not need a
We do
second.
not need a second.
Do we need to vote right away or go ahead and go
We
to the
should
vice
probably
president?
call the roll. Yeah.
Go ahead and call the roll.
I can get to it. Hold on one. Okay. Okay, Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Bozeman,
Yes.
and Mrs. Peter Freeman.
Yes.
Next, we will entertain nominations for the office of Board of Education Vice President.
I nominate Ms. Myra Bozeman.
Are there any other nominations? We have Myra Bozeman for Vice President. Being none, Ms. Allen, when you call the roll.
Yes, Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Bozeman,
Yes.
and Mrs. Peter Freeman.
Yes.
You have to,
Yes, we have to swear it, yes. Okay. All right.
No, Ms. Moore.
Repeat after me. I, Denise Moore. I, Denise Moore. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio. And that I will faithfully and impartially discharge my duties as President of the Board of Education in and for the said Trotwood-Madison City School District, Montgomery County, Ohio, to the best of my ability. Laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted during my continuance in said office and until my successor is chosen and qualified. Sworn to and subscribed before me this 9th day of January 2020, Janessa Allen, Treasurer of Trotwood-Madison City School District. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Myra Bozeman, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of
The Constitution of
the United States
the United States
and the Constitution of
and the Constitution of
the State of Ohio,
the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge my duties
discharge my duties
as Vice President of
as Vice President of
the Board of Education
the Board of Education
and for
and for
the said Trotwood-Madison City School District,
the said Trotwood-Madison City School District,
Montgomery County, Ohio,
Montgomery County, Ohio,
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
and in accordance with
and in accordance with
laws now in effect
laws now in effect
and hereafter
and hereafter
to be enacted
to be enacted
during my continuance
during my continuance
in said office
in said office
and until my successor
and until my successor
is chosen and qualified.
is chosen and qualified.
Sworn to and subscribed before me this 9th day of January 2020, Janice D. Allen, Treasurer, Trotwood-Madison City School District.
Thank you. All right. All right. Looks like next we have on the agenda is to establish our dates, times, and locations for meetings for the school year of 2020 through 21. We do have a calendar listed here with all of the dates and times listed here. Are there any changes that need to happen? It looks like the action that's recommended is that we need to have a resolution for that this evening. As I look at that particular document, All of our meetings, are starting at 5:30, just as they did for this year. And they're all located here at the central office.
Okay.
I have a question. For under 3, we have action for all of these different items. Do we want to go through them and then just maybe do an agenda for all of them or not? We just need to do it.
We've already adopted the agenda.
Yeah, so we
Go back to that.
we didn't make it a consent agenda.
We're going to need action.
I move that we accept item 3A as presented.
Is there a second?
A second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Ms. Allen, will you call the roll?
Who seconded it, please?
I did.
Denise Moore,
Yes.
Norman Scares,
Yes.
Michael Andrews,
Yes.
Myra Bozeman.
Yes.
And Vanessa Jeter Freeman.
Yes.
Motion passes. Next on the agenda, we need to establish, of course, a resolution to establish the service fund for the Board of Education in the amount of $20,000. You take a look at that particular document for the calendar year of 2020.
I move that we accept item 3B as presented.
No, second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Are there any questions? Being none, Ms. Allen, will you call the roll?
Yes. Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Scares,
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mrs. Bozeman,
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman.
Yes.
Motion passes. Next on the agenda, we need to take a look at adopting the standing authorizations for the 2020 calendar year. Again, we're looking for a resolution to adopt those. There's a document for you to take a look at there. Is there a motion?
I have a question. Oh, okay.
Let's put the
Okay,
motion on the floor.
motion on the floor, all right. I move that we accept item 3C for the authorizations for 2020 calendar year.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Are there any questions?
Just want to know, did this change from last year?
No.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments about that particular resolution?
The only other comment for the audience is that the standing authorization is just to allow the treasurer and superintendent authorization to hire personnel when the school is out, and for the treasurer, authorize her to be able to invest funds. So that's what the standing authorizations are.
If there are no further questions or comments, Ms. Allen, will you call the roll?
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman.
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mrs. Bozeman.
Yes.
And Ms. Moore.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Mr. Scares.
Yes.
Did I call everybody?
Okay, the next item on the agenda is item 3D, where we are looking for a resolution to renew the membership to OSBA. There is a document for you to review, and as you can see, it gives us a breakdown of our annual membership dues and what all that includes.
I move that we accept item 3D as presented.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments?
I have a question.
Mhm.
As I'm looking down under the subscription items, all those lines are blank. Does that mean that that's the way that's gonna stay? We're not gonna add any of those subscriptions and things?
It means like the briefcase and
Right.
management news.
We get those.
Can I speak? I was going to.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Ms. Allen.
Currently, we don't add those extra costs. We just pay the annual membership dues.
Okay.
They will send them to you in your email, though, if you sign up for email, because some of those I just get an email.
Right.
Are there any other questions or comments? Being none, Ms. Allen, will you call the roll?
Yes, Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Scares,
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mrs. Bozeman,
Yes,
and Mrs. Jeter Freeman.
Yes.
motion passes. Next, we have item 3E, which we're looking for a resolution to renew the membership to the Ohio OSBA Legal Assistance Fund for the period of January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020. As you can see, there is a document listed for you to take a look at, and it does include the costs and what that includes.
I move that we accept item 3E, renew membership of the OSBA Legal Assistance Fund for the period of January 1, 2020 through December 31st, 2020.
Is there a second?
Oh, second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? Being none, Ms. Allen, will you call the roll?
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman,
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mrs. Bozeman,
Yes,
and Mr. Scares.
Yes.
motion passes. And then the last piece of organizational business is item 3F, and this is a resolution to renew membership to NSBA for the period of January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020. As you can see, there is a document listed. Document does include the cost and just the cost. Doesn't have anything like a breakdown of what that includes.
We don't have a coupon code.
We don't have a coupon code or anything
I
for
was
that
gonna
one.
ask about that.
I move that we accept item F, 3F as presented.
Is there a second?
Oh, second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? Being none, Ms. Allen, will you call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Scares.
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman,
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mrs. Bozeman,
Yes,
and Ms. Moore.
Yes.
motion passes. Okay, so it looks like we are done with all of that portion of our organizational business. So now we're moving into the section where we're thinking about our board committees and different appointments that we may have. So we do have two positions for the city of Trotwood, liaison assignments. Do we have anyone who particularly wants to be in that position? Or I think last time, Denise, you were in that position. Did you want to continue in that? Or do we have anyone who would want to swap positions with you? Or where are we with that city of Trotwood position?
I'd like to continue as one of the,
Because we do have two
Members?
spots for it, yeah.
Who's the other person?
There is no one listed for that,
I know,
actually.
nobody-
We
Yeah,
only had one last year.
it's good to have two because then we can kind of alternate. And then also, I didn't make both meetings every month. I only went to one meeting. So instead of going to 12 meetings a year, I go to 6. So if someone else wants to,
okay,
I can be a backup.
okay. So we're gonna continue with Denise Moore in the position of the city of Trotwood liaison, and then you said you would also do it, Ms. Judah Freeman? Or you want to continue that?
It's not the same as the CIA. That's not the same.
No,
So,
this is like their Monday,
right,
every
because they
other.
assign a person, but we don't get a person coming to our meetings every meeting.
I think she came a couple times,
Right.
Miss Finley.
Right.
Mhm.
So next we have the district leadership team, and right now we have, I'm listed there as well as Ms. Jeter Freeman. I'm happy to continue with that. Are we going to continue, are we going to have evening meetings, or they're all going to be day? Or, I know that they're kind of scheduled off and on, because if they're day, I
Right
would
now.
not continue.
Yeah, right now they're early morning to mid-morning or mid-morning to afternoon. We haven't entertained after school yet, but that would be something that we'd have to have a discussion with the staff with regards to that. But right now they are doing the day.
Okay,
And I would like to continue.
want to continue that. Would anyone else like to be a part of the DLT? Because we could probably swap it out, because on those the morning ones, I would not be able to attend, but the afternoon ones I can, since I'm working. So I'm happy to continue in that position for the DLT. Finance Committee, currently, I am listed on Finance Committee as well as Ms. Jeter Freeman. Would anyone else, would someone like to swap out those positions and be a part of the Finance Committee?
I'd like to be on finance.
Would you? Okay, okay. I'm happy to step down from that and allow you to have my position on Finance Committee.
Thank you.
Ms. Jeter Freeman, did you continue on that committee?
Yes.
So I will come off of Finance, and Mr. Scarce will come on Finance. So I have to ask how this works, Ms. Jeter Freeman, the Miami Valley CTC Board of Education, that's an elected term, correct? Or how does that?
No, when they came through, they had changed the rules, and they wanted a person that was in the business industry, and you submitted a resume and they approved it. But now I think the board can choose who it is they want. They had asked if I would stay.
Okay.
That asked if I would be vice president again, but that's not a reason, so it's whatever this board would like.
Okay. So the Miami Valley CTC Board of Education, Ms. Jeter Freeman's term was up just this past December. And so what day of the week do they meet? How often is the?
They meet once a month.
Once a month.
On the second Tuesday of the month.
Okay.
And in June, there is one retreat,
Okay.
and that's pretty much it.
Okay.
I'd be interested in that.
Yeah.
Because that's a 3-year commitment too, right?
It's a 3-year commitment. And so you're saying the board would submit names or a name or?
Would submit both. I don't know if they're like the final approval. They were when the state redid the requirements for it.
Okay.
So
we would send forth names and then they would choose.
well.
Sounds like we just choose if
Right.
somebody wants to do it,
Yeah,
because they've changed it.
right.
So who said they wanted to do it? Was that you?
I would like to stay on that one if it's okay this year, Mr. Scarce.
Well, considering my future, that probably would be best.
Okay. Considering your future?
And when you say this year, so in,
No, I mean.
for the term?
For the term. I just realized it is for the term.
I'm okay with that.
All right. The National Alliance of Black School Educators, NABC, I never can say that quite right. That B kind of. Ms. Moore, you are currently on that. Do you want to continue, or did anyone else want to give that one shot? Do you want to continue on that particular one?
I'd like to continue if I could,
Okay.
unless there's somebody else who wants.
Do we pay a membership to that one?
We do.
I think so.
Mhm.
I think we
Yeah.
do.
Mhm.
Do we have to vote on that membership or not? Since we did for the others, we don't for this one.
Is it one of our affiliations or?
No, I only asked because we did just vote for the others, for The national,
NSBA,
yeah,
OSBA.
yeah.
I think if I'm correct, the other ones are so high in cost. I think that membership, it was only like $25.
Oh, okay,
And we
yeah.
would send that in
Right.
when we send in her registration.
Yeah.
So that's probably the reason why,
No, I didn't,
that
right.
you all voted on that.
I didn't know if that one was like Q. That is,
No.
Okay. It looks like the next one is the National School Board Association Liaison, of course, NSBA, and it's open, no one is listed there. I'll definitely do that one since it is listed. So I'll be happy to do that. NSBA Black Caucus, Ms. Moore, you're still listed there. Would anyone else, or do you want to continue in that capacity, or would anyone else like to do it?
I like that one, but if somebody else wants to do it, really and truly what we do, we meet up in Columbus, pretty, like quarterly. And then that's a big part of the Leo Lucas Scholarship. So we work on the scholarships for the entire state.
Looks like next is the OSBA Legislative Liaison, and we have Ms. Moore and Mr. Scarce listed there.
I'd like to stay there if possible.
Stay there, Ms. Moore.
Was that me?
It says you.
I did that last year?
I don't know. I think it was just me.
Okay, I think it was. Maybe I was a backup.
Maybe, yeah, you were back
Was I
up.
backup?
Okay.
Okay, I'll stay the
You
backup.
stay as the
Yeah.
backup.
I didn't remember doing anything there.
And then Ms. Jeter Freeman, did you want to continue on as the OSBA Southwest Region rep?
that one is an appointment, so
Oh, okay,
I'm
so you're
on
still
that
on that one. How long is that appointment for?
it is through, it's 2 years, I believe.
Oh, is it
So
2 years?
And I just,
Started?
right.
Okay, gotcha. And then what about the OSBA Student Achievement Leadership Team?
That was an appointment also,
Okay.
but in addition to that, they also want another person to,
What's that one? The Southwest?
Salt.
yeah, they
Student achievement.
normally meet 3 times a year. They changed it. So when our students performed at Southwest, it was because I was on Southwest. When our Westbrook and Madison Park went, that was because I was on SALT. But also it's where we nominate our student groups to go and be a part of the OSBA conference.
And they're looking for somebody else to,
No,
Okay.
we just have to send my name back. It's just a part of all of their,
okay, but just one, they just want
Right.
one. Okay.
So you're good on
You're
SALT,
good?
so we're good
Yeah.
on that. And then we have the OSBA Urban School District Advisory Network. We don't have anyone listed for that. Do any of you know what exactly happens on that particular committee, since we don't have anyone listed there?
now this one, I used to attend it, but now they send the invitations to all of us. They only meet maybe 4 times a year.
3 times, yeah.
But they were heavily involved with House Bill 70 and the redesign of that. So we all get an invitation to attend that. So when I attended and passed, it was actually the other school districts, superintendent and whoever could attend, because it's during the day. It's normally a full day.
Okay.
And they also have been working on that report card design.
Right.
So every couple of weeks I see where they're
And I saw
meeting,
that.
and yeah, so they're very, very active.
Yeah, that's the one that Dr. Sanders is kind of spearheading.
Gene Sanders, okay.
Would anyone like to be on that? Because we don't have anyone listed on that currently.
I'd like to work with Dr. Sanders.
Okay. So Urban School District Advisory Network, Ms. Moore. Next, we have the Policy Committee. I'd like to continue on policy.
So would I.
And Mr. Scarce, okay?
Mr. Andrews,
Trotwood-Madison Educational Foundation. Mr. Andrews, would you continue on that?
I'll continue with that.
And then Trotwood-Madison Parent Engagement, Ms. Moore, did you want to continue?
May I?
You said yes or no? Okay. 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 think that's
Was there anything else
Is there
that?
anything else that we need to, Mr. Andrews, did you want to
You
be
had a
on something
couple-
that maybe?
Yeah.
Was-
A lot of them are during the day and I'm working too, so I don't like to miss too many of those.
Well, I know you mentioned like the athletics, something with the athletics.
Yeah, I would kind of like to work with that a little bit. I'm just,
I didn't hear you, Ms.
I would like to work with the work a little bit with the, if I can make any kind of contribution or anything to the athletic department. What I've done up to this point, nothing more than I just sent a correspondence to Mr. Russo, and but I'll just kind of do that and kind of check in with him. And
Okay.
Do we want to
Maybe-
add that as,
Like a liaison to the athletic department or something like that?
Yeah.
I'm just remembering when we negotiated our agreement with the union, there were other committees that were added. And I don't know if there any, I'm sorry, I meant to look at them to see if the board or if there should be a board rep on any of those
I think all those committees were,
in
operational
staff.
based.
Okay.
Yeah, I would also kind of be, I want to say hesitant, but be just very mindful of, with the athletic oversight, maybe making sure that you and I kind of have that dialogue with regards to that.
that's fine.
Yeah, we got to be,
Right, I thought of that too. Yeah.
some of that other stuff that's out there.
Well, I'll share with you what
Okay, yeah, but yeah,
And I'm thinking more or less just keep the board apprised
Yeah.
and
and I can provide you reports or whatever information you'd like to have.
Okay.
Are there any other committees that maybe aren't listed that we need to address? Or are those?
Not a committee, but an appointment of our student representative.
Oh, yeah.
We kind of transition,
Well,
before you got
I did have a
here.
question about that.
Yeah.
I didn't know where you guys stood with that.
Yeah, we need to, per our policy, I think we can send you what I drafted, real quick little application.
Mhm.
And then you would identify working with the high school principal,
Okay.
I think.
You have the final.
Right,
Yeah, right.
right.
Right. Yeah, I just didn't know where we stood with that.
Yeah,
You know,
we
I
need to
know-
do that. It's on our
Right.
to-do list.
Okay. Yeah, please feel free to send that to me.
Okay. If there is nothing else, it looks like that's the end of the meeting. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any questions? Ms. Allen, will you call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Scares,
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman,
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mrs. Bozeman,
Yes.
and Ms. Moore.
yes.
Meeting adjourned. Time to do the next meeting.
All right. Okay, let's roll right into the
Time
next
to
minute. All right. Just like that, right?
Yes, sir. And don't you mention it. See, I want you to call me. I want a new name now.
I'll call you NBC. It's Vice President.
That's when I get my hair.
Again, with that.
I'll send you what I put together.
Yeah, and I looked at the policy probably last week,
Okay.
just reviewing it, because I know prior to, we had talked about that, but there was no
Yeah.
definite, but yeah, that's
Okay. Ms. Moore, I'd like to get to the next meeting. I have to pull my stuff up.
Oh, you have to pull it out? Okay, go right ahead.
Hold on one second.
All right.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, wonderful.
It shouldn't be.
like to call to order the Trotwood-Madison City School District work session, January 9th, 2020 to order. Ms. Allen, will you call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Andrews?
Yes.
Mrs. Bozeman?
Yes.
Mr. Scares?
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman?
Yes.
And Ms. Moore?
Yes, the meeting has now been called to order. Please join us for a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I now need a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Been properly moved in second. Are there any changes, additions, revisions? Being none? All right, Ms. Allen?
Is there any way we can put the executive session up front?
Yeah, we can. If it's the pleasure of the board.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
That was my
I
only.
thought we had
Let's see, what do we have?
Do we have someone coming?
for that.
No, we don't. That would just be Mr. Howard. Okay. Is it the pleasure of the board? If so, I'm sorry?
We're adding.
Yeah, we're moving. We're just moving item 9A to the next item, board item.
The executive session up.
And we'll make it number 2. So everything just kind of moves down.
As a board, okay.
Mhm.
Got it. You moved,
Board,
like,
it'll be a board item,
okay, two.
number 2.
And Mrs. Jeter Freeman, motion, and who's second?
Second? And it would be like a board item A by itself, okay? It wouldn't be like a B, because this is board report. Got it, sit alone. Thank you.
Got it. Huh?
I don't, who's second? All right. All right, it's been properly moved and second, all right? Any questions? And what has been properly moved and second is to move executive session, and that is, it was item 9, a resolution to adjourn into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual per Board of Education Policy 0166 and ORC 121.22 G1. So now that is item 2, board item A. Ms. Allen, will you call the roll?
Mrs. Jeter Freeman,
Yes.
Mrs. Bozeman,
Yes.
We were out too long. You know that, right?
Forgot your name.
I didn't mean to steal your identity.
Mrs. Bozeman,
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mr. Scares,
Yes.
Yes.
and Ms. Moore.
Yes. Okay. The agenda has been adopted with changes. Next up, we're going to go right into board item A, which is the executive session. I need a resolution to adjourn into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual, or Board of Education Policy 0166 and ORC 121.22 G1.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and we have a second. Any questions? Being none?
Action or no action?
No, well, let me think about that. No action?
For action, no.
Okay, no
Just
action will be taken. Information only.
Mhm.
Thank you. Will you call the roll?
Mr. Scares,
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mrs. Bozeman,
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman,
Yes.
and Ms. Moore.
Yes. Motion passes. We will now adjourn into executive session at 5:39 PM. No action will be taken. We are now out of executive session at 6:13 PM. Next item, board report, approval of policy update 38.1 fall 2019 update.
No, it's
Just
just
information.
information.
Mhm.
So we did have our meeting with Norm and Neola, myself, Ms. Bozeman, Mr. Howard, Ms. Allen. And 3801 is their fall update of policies that they look at, keep an eye out for in order to maintain our relevancy in terms of policy. One thing that we've added that is not in the update is the ec- equity policy, thank you, that he's still looking at and trying to help develop what might work for us.
Okay.
Give us something to look at and then tweak it to how we deem necessary. So these are just so we stay current in our board policies.
Okay.
And I did forward Norm those equity policies that he had requested from us. He has not got back with me yet, so it's something that I'll share with you guys.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any questions? Next up, treasurer's report.
I have a couple for information only this evening. Approval of the meeting minutes from December 5th and December 12th, 2019. 3A, 3B. Is it then announced now certificate that invoice date was June 5th, 2019. The vendor was Montgomery County Juvenile Court. The amount was $7,920. It was for adolescent services. And apparently those services were rendered prior to a purchase order being approved. The next item is approval of the FY20 amended appropriation. There were two updates. The first update was for Fund 451. It's fiber connectivity. We just received that money, so we needed to have the board to approve that next week. And we got an additional $11,000 for school safety from the Attorney General just on December 24th. And I needed to add that one as well. So those are only two updates from the last time that I brought an appropriation document to you. And so those were the three items that I had this evening.
Any questions?
So the one for the safety, you just added the 11,000 to what we already had
Yes,
appropriated.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
I'm just curious on the then and now. It didn't have a purchase order?
Yeah,
Can you?
to be honest, I don't know.
I can speak to that a little bit. You know, sometimes when young people are adjudicated or convicted of crimes, or they don't give us that information up front. So there's often times where we're billed for these kids months after they have been in those situations, and the county needs to do a little better job with school districts. And we've had this discussion before with informing us when those kids are incarcerated, and sometimes they get those kids and they just send those bills, and you know, we don't put on a purchase order. I mean, a requisition $10,000 to the county for juvenile services. You know, that doesn't happen common, but when we do, that's probably why that one happened.
So Mr. Howard, is that, you think, for like tutoring and those kind of things, or?
That would be for the student that's incarcerated, educational services. So in essence, we then become a pass-through pretty much for those funds.
Thank you.
So if the funds follow the child, they follow them there too?
Well, we have to pay for their education, yes.
Twice?
When you say twice.
So do we still have to pay for the seat here?
It'll come here, and then we just have to pay for the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pay for
Send it over there.
I got you.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Seeing none, Mr. Howard.
Superintendent's report. There are items all for information. The first is for information is the first reading of the 2021 school calendar. If you look at your attachment, the calendar is very similar to the calendar for this year. Accumulated hours are the same for both K-5 and 6-8. Holidays, breaks are all included. One point of emphasis is that the staff does have the full 2 weeks for the winter holiday, which we had a different situation this year that created some snafus, but we worked our way through that. The union, per the negotiated agreement, myself and the union president serve as representatives, and we sit together. We review the calendar. She takes it to TMEA. I share it with administrators, and then we come up with a common calendar that we can agree upon. So we wanted to present this to the board for information. There were 4 or 5 different calendars that we looked at, and this was the one that was agreed upon the most. Item B is approval. Any questions? I'm sorry. Okay. Item B is an approval for an out-of-state field trip for the junior ROTC. There's a letter attached. The ROTC will be wants to attend to Daytona Beach, Florida, wants to attend the National Junior ROTC Fitness Challenge Championship in Daytona Beach. And this trip will be paid for through their fundraising efforts. C is approval of the 2021 activity budget for ROTC. D is information requesting approval for the accepting of donations from Twin Tig Incorporated for gloves, hats, socks valued at $600. E is for information, the approval of the personnel agenda. Items A1, resignation. A2, recommendation for administrative contract. A3, recommendation for approval for certified staff. A4, recommendation for supplemental contracts. B1, recommendation for approval for resignation. B2, recommendation for approval of classified employee on an as-needed basis. And B3, recommendation for approval of supplemental contract. Just a note for A1, you can see that administrative salary comes in at step 1 per experience vetted. That step will change, but we will put them on the board agenda, and I'm sure you guys are used to that at step 1 initially.
Mm-hmm.
And that is all I have for for superintendent.
Item C, that's for the class of 2021, correct? You
Yes.
said, I didn't know if you said ROTC for some reason.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, I got the two prior mixed up. I'm sorry. Class of 2021. Apologize about that.
Any other questions? Being none, next item up is discussion items, after-school tutoring.
Mrs. Freeman had requested some information about the after-school tutoring program that we have been discussing over the last couple of months or so. I'm gonna ask Ms. Minor to come up to share some information about the program. There is an attachment. Ms. Minor has updated the information on that attachment, so she's going to give you I'll pass it down. Thanks. Giving you a modified and updated. I'm sorry. What am I doing?
Good evening.
Good evening.
For the opportunity to present the after-school programming. I know a couple of meetings ago, we discussed providing after-school services for more children than just the 21st century. So this is a summary of what we've put together in all buildings. I'd like to first say there'll be some revisions to this document, as it says here, transportation for K-8 only, but I'm pleased to say Mrs. Coleman, who's actually organized after-school programming for the high schools, arranged for transportation for those students who need it. So we have meals and transportation K-12 all the way up. So on the template that you have, you'll see a summary of each building, the grade level serviced, the days, the K-5 buildings, Madison Park, Early Learning Center, and Westbrook Village have made some modifications, and they're only servicing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for these additional students, so that also is a slight change. But you'll see the academic curriculum, the targeted number of students that they're recruiting for enrollment, and enrichment opportunities at each building. One thing we wanted to provide is try to be equitable in providing these students enrichment opportunities similar to the 21st century model. So you'll see a summary of the types of activities in each building under the enrichment column. A few enrichment things that I'd like to add to the high school is she has secured a partnership with Dayton Dance Conservatory to work with our students with disabilities in the MD unit, which is, something we really encourage for their transition to college career readiness and social skills. She also has arranged for a chess and checkers club that's not on here, and there's going to be a music therapy program for some of the students. So she's added some of those things as well. You'll see the middle school also has several clubs, newspaper club, digital media, mock trial, lots of activities going on.
Shiloh Springs Nursing Home.
Yes.
Under Westbrook Village.
Yes.
In middle school. What
Partnerships.
partnership students go in and
Right, in the past, Westbrook has partnered with Shiloh Springs to go and do some different activities with the with the folks at the nursing home. Miss Mallory could have given. Tracy, are you back there? Can you give us a little information about what was it Shiloh Springs?
It just depends on certain times of the year. We go and do arts and crafts with the residents. We went during the Christmas holiday to sing Christmas carols. And they do, like a book bag drive and stuff for school every year. Supplies for their residents and their families.
thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
For the volunteering, do our students, for the high school students, as a part of graduation, they can have volunteer hours? Do we have those set up, or do they?
Yes, like community service out in the counseling office. They coordinate that with the students.
So if I'm a student, do I know to go to the counseling office and say I want to set it up, or is it built into their schedule?
I don't believe it's built in as a regular course. However, the counselors have caseloads that they meet with students and talk about all of the college career readiness, graduation requirements and things like that. And so we can, I don't know if Mr. McCray has more information, but we can get more details about the way our program works. That for you. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
B, there was a request for a update on mental health. I've included an attachment, and Mrs. Love Allen will speak briefly to the summary of our mental health services.
Good evening.
Good evening.
for an update of just how things are going between our partnership with the district and Samaritan Behavioral. Currently, as of today, officially, we have therapists in every single building. So we were very excited to finally get the fifth person at Westbrook. They were excited to see her come through the door as well. So because we were starting to trying to figure out, is she ever coming? And she was. We were just trying to be conscious on age group and therapists and making the best match. So we now actually have a therapist in every building. Based on the numbers that, in speaking with them as of yesterday, the Early Learning Center has had 21 referrals. Madison Park has had 25. Westbrook Village, obviously, since she's just gotten here, none as of yet, to my knowledge. The middle school has 17 referrals and the high school 38. Currently, those pending. So they've reached out to the parents and they've tried to start the process, but they are still working through that. At the Early Learning Center is 5, Madison Park 2, middle school 9, and the high school 6. So that leaves a total of students for their actual caseloads of students that they're actually working with, and they've opened, that's the term that they use, is 16 at the Early Learning Center, 8 at Madison Park, 11 at the middle school, and 32 students at the high school. So right now, a total of 67 students are receiving therapy through Samaritan Behavioral Health. Some of the factors and barriers that have kind of arisen throughout the process is no-shows by parents and guardians for various reasons. They schedule an appointment to start the process, the diagnostic assessments, and for whatever reasons they don't show. So what that does, it causes the therapist not to be able to see any other students because they blocked out that time. There are also some language barriers and cultural barriers that we're facing, which, in speaking with them, that's not unusual. For instance, they have a family who's out of the country, so they, English is not their first language. So they're trying to work through finding someone that can help translate the forms and also to get past some of their barriers related to mental health therapy because they are dealing with that as well. Some other factors that are in play, but our social workers and therapists are working through transitioning our students who were receiving mental health services from our social workers to receiving it through the Samaritan therapists. And also the classifying of the severity of the students in determining, okay, do these students, say tier 2, continue to work with the social workers, but are more tier 3 intensive students, do they need to go ahead and receive therapy? Also, we're trying to work through some difficulties and complications with beginning our YCAS program at the Early Learning Center, staying in constant communication with them to get that started, some things that are happening out of our control that we're just trying to work through. So hopefully we can get that off the ground this month. Therefore, some of our actions that are being taken is our social workers are working with our Samaritan Behavioral Health therapists to do home visits, especially for those parents that have transportation difficulties and can't get to the school to complete the paperwork. Our social workers are willing to partner with them to do those visits. In addition to that, working with trying to find an interpreter to overcome those language barriers to help families complete forms, as well as just internal tech issues. For instance, the therapist at Westbrook, he was unable to, not Westbrook, I'm sorry, at Madison Park, he was unable to print. So we're just trying to work through things like that so that we can line his computer with, our system so he can get forms and things printed, and as well as access to the Progress Book and Dazzle. Overall, and speaking with them, they are very excited to be within our school district. All of them have literally said that to me with smiles on their faces. We are so glad to be here. The staff has said to me and has said to them, thank you for bringing them in. They've all been very welcoming to them. The therapists have shared with me that the staff has been very helpful in helping them build relationships and start getting to know them as well as the students and the climate of each building, because every building is different. So overall, it's getting off to a very positive start. I would say one therapist even told me she's very impressed with the wraparound services that we have, because the previous school district that she was with she felt like there were a lot of gaps. And she said, when I came here, you guys have a lot of pieces in place. She said, so I really like being here. So she literally told me, thank you. And so it's getting off to a very good start.
Mhm.
Very good, thank
What
you.
is, excuse me, what is YCAPS?
It's how to say it, it's a day program that happens within the building. So the students go within a classroom for, let's say, Tuesday and Thursday, and they're going in to learn how to behave, to learn those social emotional skills in that classroom environment with the therapist. So it's much more intense than just going to work with the therapist for, say, a 30 or 45-minute session. They're in that setting for the day, and then they come out, say, for Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and they work again in their normal classroom setting. So it's a in-building day program. And those therapists that work in that program are separate than the ones that do the one-to-one or small group sessions, because these kids are more severe and they require more time, more attention. Typically, they have 2 therapists in that setting to work with those students, and they also try to limit the amount of students in that setting. So they're very conscientious of the right people, the right place, the right program for the right age group with the right number, because they want to do it to the best of their ability.
And YCATS is dedicated to the youngest children.
And it is, thank you.
They're dedicated at the ELC.
Right.
So the YCATS program is for, what is
It's
it?
pre-K, really, they do pre-K age to 6, and they push it at 6. Like, okay, if it's a first grader, he's really got to be super, so they try to be very limited.
For the little
to
kids.
work with them early.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Treasurer.
Just congratulations to Ms. Moore and Ms. Bozeman, President, Vice President. I look forward to working with you guys and look forward to working with Mr. Scares now on the Finance Committee.
Thank you. Superintendent comments?
I do have a few comments. Under the attachments, there are some updates that I provide to the board each month. Again, with the superintendent's update, I share it with you via Google Doc. So it does change if additional dates are added. While you guys were still working, I added another one that I just got for the counselor, for the PSAT and ACT information night for the counselor. But simply just a summary of some of the things that are going on in the buildings during the month, some of the things that I have to do, a list of the meetings I have to attend. So I still will continue to provide that information on a monthly basis. The next update I'd like to direct some focus to is just a general district update as of the semester, where we are as far as enrollment is concerned, where we were. Currently, our enrollment as of 2/20/19 is 2693. So we are plus 21 from where we were as of 10/18/19. So I'm very excited about that because it shows that our enrollment has not decreased as anticipated, but it is growing. And from where we were this time last year, well, not this time, but in December of last year, we're up 34 students. And where we were in May of last year, we're up 30 students. So enrollment is on the increase, which is outstanding for us, pending the factors that were anticipated. I've included the numbers of students in each building. I also included some information about open enrollment, where you can see that currently we have 118 in and 109 out. So that's us plus to the 9. So we have 9 students plus for open enrollment. And again, with every student that we receive for an open enrollment comes those dollars. So it's definitely a positive as we continue this open enrollment track that we are on. McKinney-Vento information, I always try to share that with you as well. Currently, we have 260 students that are still on or are actively on McKinney-Ventos. That is minus 42 from the last update that I gave you in October. That does not mean that those students were lost or those students are no longer in the district. some of those students have reestablished residency in the district. So because we're down 42, that does not mean we lost all of those students. And that can be clarified through the fact that enrollment is going up. So that just, lets us know that we're not losing those kids that are on McKinney-Ventos, but that are reestablishing residency.
Is there any way to know how many of those kids are displaced because of the tornado?
Absolutely. We do have that list. Ms. Jordan Isaacs, who's out, won't be back till Friday. She does have that information, and I can provide that via update. And I can actually just add it to the Google Doc if you keep up with it. McKinney-Ventos students being transported. We're currently still transporting 180 students via McKinney-Vento. A lot of kids that we are bringing into the district. We are going to continue to do our due diligence to make that happen. But one thing that I do want to clarify is that sustainability is ultimately a concern. Now, we're fortunate that most of the kids that were living outside of the greater Dayton, when I say greater Dayton, the city of Dayton, and the surrounding areas, Vandalia, Inglewood, most of those kids are still there. Those are the ones that were far out, the Miamisburgs. We had a kid in Troy. I think we had a kid. Most of those kids have come back. So we're still close in the vicinity. So what I do is I bring my bus drivers in 30 minutes early, 40 minutes early, and then they start their routes early, and they go pick these kids up in the city of Dayton, and then they come back in town, and then they start their actual routes. But with that 30 minutes, with that 45 minutes, that does start to accumulate. We don't think it's a major expense yet, but what I'm going to do is a cost analysis based upon where we are this year and where we were last year, just salary wise, and just kind of see how much additional money we have spent with that. But it is our challenge and our charge to continue bringing those kids in because we don't want to lose 180 kids.
And we don't get additional funding from the state because we have a larger number.
Yes,
Okay.
there is a grant, and we just talked about that today. There is a grant that we are going to, once the grant period, application period is open,
Okay.
we are going to apply for that grant, and that will help supplement
Okay.
that cost that we're
Yeah.
losing. So we think we're going to be fine.
Okay.
We think we're going to be fine, but again, it's just the only worry is will kids get tired of that early morning and their parents just say, hey, you know what? We're just gonna register in Vandalia, but most of the kids that we have want to be here. They want to come back. But again, that's sustainability. So we're really going to make some outreaches over the next couple of weeks and month or so to just reconnect with those families. Ms. Jordan Isaacs, her parent engagers, reconnecting with those families and make them feel reassured that Trotwood-Madison is home.
And I do appreciate your tracking that from where we were last year to this year.
Student attendance, currently the district is at 92.45%. We are half of a percentage point from the district indicator, so we've got to do a little work. Our goal, I put some bullet points down there for some of the things, some of the ways we're going to attack that. One of the issues in having this conversation with Mr. McCray is some of those McKinney-Vento students, their attendance starts to fluctuate a little bit too, especially at that high school. So we really got to start putting some things in place to address some of those kids that may just get up in the morning and feel like they just don't want to come. So in essence, we're going to put some action plans in place and work with our attendance specialists and our counselors to try to really identify those kids. And if there's another option that still keeps them here, maybe it's Graduation Alliance, maybe it's something else, where they are still our student, we'll consider some of those things too. But 92.45 for us at this point is not bad. It's 93% is attainable. That indicator is attainable, and we're going to keep working through that. And then, of course, just a reference to our professional learning community. We're still pushing that motive and that model and working to improve. In February, the plan is to have Ms. Minor give a brief update on our academic progress via testing, via our benchmarking, and then also have Ms. Allen give some information about discipline, and we're looking to do that in February. But I just wanted to give you guys just a midterm update on where we are as far as enrollment and attendance. and some other varied factors.
Thank you.
No problem.
Next, board comments. Mr. Andrews?
I don't think I have any, particularly tonight. Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome back, and all those kind of things. And, my wife and I will be at Westbrook on Thursday to, work with your science fair.
I'm sorry, I forgot about that one. Take a look at that one. That's for you guys. I'm sorry. I talk too much and I usually don't, but science fair invitations, if you're interested, you can contact Ms. Kelsey and let her know that you will be, you're able to be a judge if you want to. I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Andrews.
Okay, Mr. Scares?
Thank you. First thing I'll say is I want to thank Ms. Isaac and the parent engagers for the district. The final tally that we came up with Hope Church and the Gateway Cathedral, where I'm privileged to pastor, the families outside of the families in the school district that we were able to bless in connection with the families identified through St. Vincent de Paul. We originally thought we were going to give away $20,000, but ultimately gave away about $28,000 to, I want to say, 15 identified Trotwood-Madison families, and then another 10 identified St. Vincent de Paul families. But we would not have been able to do that without Ms. Isaac's help and the parent engagers' help as well. So I just wanted to say thank you. Our church, as well as the Hope Church, sends their gratitude for the assistance by way of the district. So thank you very much. The other thing I'll say is I did have the pleasure of helping volunteer or helping judge the science fair at the middle school. And it was phenomenal. It was very, very phenomenal. So thank you very much for that invitation. And I am glad to see that our board is unified. And I have come to respect each and every last one of our board members, even though we may disagree. We started out a little rough when I first came on. But I am glad to know that this board, under no circumstances, will be manipulated or skewed in terms of what we think is best for our board. So it is a pleasure and an honor to serve with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy New Year, and I am so happy and excited to serve as Vice President for this year. I also started my College Credit Plus course at the high school. This is my second one. Last year I had a big fat 10 students, and this year I got 21 students, right? So the class actually caps at 16, but I have 21, so I'm going to be working hard, and I'm happy to do it. And I tell the students that they have the best teacher ever because I want to be there more than anywhere else because I am happy to serve Trotwood-Madison High School.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
All right. Mrs. Jeter Freeman.
I'm not sure if you all get the emails from our OSBA attorney, lobbyists, but the Ed Choice is coming up. So they sent out that letter where we need to make sure that we as a board take action on that sample template that they sent us, modified however we want, and send it to our local officials to make sure, because our schools are ones that are identified, as Ed Choice, which means that our students can't, even though we've gotten 21, we don't want to lose more through Ed Choice. So that plus Happy New Year. Hope you all enjoyed your holiday season, and I'm looking forward to a great year. It's going to be good. So that's all I have.
Happy New Year and welcome back. I just want to say, first and foremost, I serve with an amazing board, and I just so appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for giving me another opportunity in the chair. I really appreciate that. One thing I can say about boards, when we talk about being unified, we are unified. What that means to us is, no, we don't always agree. And we're not always voting the same way, but we're able to come together and work together. And I hope that we are modeling a behavior within our district community, because that's really what's important. We're only here for one reason and one reason only, to educate children. And again, we want to make sure that we continue to have progress in the district, because that's important. It's important for our students, it's important for our families. And we've had some huge wins.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, guys, the last couple years have been phenomenal for Trotwood-Madison City Schools. And when I talk about that, this board was actually recognized by the Southwest region as an effective board. First time in history. Let's give, I got a big one. That's a hand, okay? I mean, that's a huge, big honor. In addition to that, we have established some community relationships and partnerships outside of Trotwood. As a matter of fact, Mr. Superintendent, I'll be sharing this with you. I went into a Miller Lane, the Chick-fil-A. The owner was there and he looked and he said, so familiar. And then one of the employees said, Trotwood just opened a health center. And everybody was buzzing about it. The owner came to me and he said, listen, we gave away $150,000 to different communities, universities and the like. I'd like to support Trotwood. Tell us how we can support Trotwood. He said, it is about giving back. That is huge. And interesting enough, he's from Springboro. So he was like so excited that they played a huge part in our tornado recovery. He said him and his wife got real busy. They understood the importance. That is where this district is headed. We have the kind of partnerships that not only local municipalities, but across the country. When I say across the country, I am talking about transformation and reform and other districts and other states wanting to know what we're doing and how we're doing it. Mostly how we're doing it together. Because in a lot of places across the country, this doesn't happen. Boards are fractured, which fractures the district. So again, great stuff. What else did we do? Oh, the health center. I want to thank everybody who helped with the health center. Thank you for that. Thank you. Give yourselves a hand. Everybody just jumped in there. Mr. Howard, I want to especially thank you for working with Five Rivers. Gina McFarland, the CEO, couldn't stop talking about you. She was so impressed. She's worked with other districts. First of all, we are the first district in Montgomery County, regardless of what Dayton was trying to do, all right? So she said, working with Trotwood, working with Marlon Howard has been the best experience, because these health centers are going to open everywhere. They've got an opening later this month and many to come. So I just want to say thank you for representing us well. She said, if there was a hiccup, you made it happen. So, yeah, you tried. No, don't be modest. She said she really, I mean, she just said, we need to know how good that communication and collaboration was. So it was a beautiful event. I see many of those type of events down the road. Our community partnership with the city, the family reunion this year. When I talk about this board has been busy working, these folks have worked their fingers to the bone. I mean, making sure that not only are we doing the right things for the right reasons internally within the district, but we are good community partners externally. And that's been important. With that said, got a call from the state deputy superintendent congratulating us on our celebration. I mean, just people everywhere are so happy for us. We are on the map. And they are using us as a model. There's several of our staff members who've been asked to train, to go places and speak. I think I know our principals were recognized for their work in their buildings. Thank you, Ms. Mallory. Thank you, Ms. Turner. I mean, you guys were just, I mean, Trotwood is on the move. We are rocking and we are rolling, and nothing's going to stop us. We're going to keep the momentum going. We're going to keep the partnership going. We're going to keep the unity going. And again, we're going to go some places and see some big things. So I just appreciate everybody. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you for staying here tonight. We appreciate you doing that. Without
One last comment.
one more, okay.
Okay, another part of Southwest region is where they nominate our administrators for students, for operations, classified staff. So please, if you have time, I know it takes time, but if you would, please, if you know someone within our district that needs to be nominated, highlighted, please take the time to do it. Thank you so much. We had Ms. Mallory and Ms. Sterner before, so
Where are those forms? Are they
I
online or can you?
they're online, but I
I
can
can
also.
take them and share them with the principals,
Okay,
make a
thank
copy
you.
of them.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if we had like whole buildings? I mean, and we can do that. Trotwood can do that. We can do anything that we think we can do and that we're big enough to do, right? And bold enough to do. With that said, I need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and second. Any questions about leaving here tonight? All right, being none, Ms. Allen, will you call the roll?
Harris,
Yes.
Freeman,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
Bozeman,
Yes.
and Ms. Moore.
Yes. Meeting adjourned.
Okay.